Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sam Wright, Brian and Angie away from the desk this evening. Residents in Dickinson County, Iowa, expressing concern over future wind turbines on their properties. Parker Brown spoke to a few landowners to hear why exactly and joins us in studio with our top story at 10 o'clock. Parker.
Good evening, Sam. Residents in Dickinson County may have seen this ad in the Lake News Shopper or these yellow postcards, and the group behind them is called the Dickinson County Concerned Citizens, or DC3. They say that outside energy companies are doing their best to push for more wind turbines without the input of those who will be affected by them.
3 wind turbine projects are being proposed in Dickinson County to build up to 203 turbines. They have wind turbines in the county already, but keep in mind, proposed turbines can be close to 400 feet taller than the ones currently in use, a height that would rival the tallest building in Iowa.
As a group, we decided that we needed to start sharing that information and let our neighbors know about that. And as more and more people became aware of these proposed projects in our county, there was concern.
If it wasn't for mail sent to Aaron Jansen, awareness of the project wouldn't be so high. Members of DC3 say that lack of transparency about the projects has been intentional. Some landowners have already signed leases for their land to be part of the projects, but non-participating landowners will still be affected.
Our hope is basically equal say. The people who signed up their land for the project, they have their say, but none of the non-participating landowners had any say. And if it wasn't for that one letter, no one would know. I mean, this would never have been a thing until there was a public informational meeting on it, and 30 days later is when they submit their application, and then that's when they start working.
The people of Dickinson County are not against wind turbines. They just want a choice, and for health and safety to be prioritized. Jansen owns Swiss Acres, a popular wedding and event location. Whether it's noise level, shadow flicker, ice throw, or getting in the background of an otherwise beautiful view, Jansen says a wind turbine will negatively impact his business and his day-to-day life.
The current ordinance is the setback is 1,200 feet from the center of my residence. Well, 1,200 feet is not a lot when you're subtracting the distance from my residence to the property line, which is 300 feet. And then I have a barn that will hold 200-300 people that's maybe 80-90 feet from the property line. You're getting a turbine that's 900 or 800 feet from a place where a lot of people are going to be.
The county's wind turbine ordinance hasn't been updated since 2009. DC3 is pushing for a moratorium to finally update it, but energy companies are threatening the county, even with a lawsuit, to get their projects approved first. They're even surveying properties already.
Our request is that our rights as rural landowners, that our health is protected and that our property rights are recognized as well.
There will be 3 key meetings in the county within the next 2 weeks. The next Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be on the 21st, the next Board of Supervisors meeting will be on the 22nd, and the next Board of Adjustment meeting will be held on the 28th. They expect a large crowd for public comment. Sam?
Parker Brown for us tonight. Thank you, Parker.